Hi, this is Prashant Bharadwaj. Today's topic is operations strategy in a global environment. The need for operations managers to work in a global environment has been so important for the last couple of decades. As I said earlier, for any business, today the competition is worldwide and the market for the product is also global. So it is important for operations managers to understand the need to work in different parts of the world. The book takes the example of Boeing 787. Unfortunately, when we get to the supply chain management topic, we will discuss how the 787 has been a fiasco for Boeing. The fiasco has been in the execution, but the planning and the structure of Boeing 787's assembly was an excellent plan. It looked at sourcing the important components from all over the world. As you can see in this example, getting passenger doors from France, wiring from a French company again, interior lighting from a German company, engines from Rolls-Royce in UK, and moving on, if you look at this, many components from Japan, China, South Korea, Sweden, all of these together assembled in Seattle in Boeing's assembly facility. It cannot get more global than Boeing when it comes to the operations. Getting the products from all over the world from different companies and assembling them in the US and selling their products pretty much to the entire world, because when it comes to commercial planes, there is very little competition to Boeing and Airbus. These are the only two major aircraft manufacturers for the passenger segment at this time. Now, why do companies go global? That is the topic of this particular chapter. And like I said, it need not be an exclusive chapter, because in every topic, from lean management to facility location to project management, we'll be talking about global aspects. But let's take a quick look right now. The book talks about 6 reasons to globalize. Tangible to intangible reasons. Reasons that can be easily measured to reasons that are more intangible. So let's look at each one of these in a little more detail, from reducing costs to attracting global talent. Again, facility location will be the topic where we will discuss this in little more detail. The first thing is to reduce costs. When we say costs, it can be direct or indirect costs. It can be real estate costs. It can be tariffs. It can be labor, any one of these. And we have given a few examples here. Maquiladoras. If you look at maquiladoras, which are basically industrial towns on the border of USA and Mexico, within Mexico, you will see a number of assembly plants there. What is the reason for many of these American, Japanese, European companies to locate in Mexico? Very obvious answer. Mexico is closer to the US, which is the biggest market in the world. It is closer to US than Asia, so transportation is easier. And locating it right next to the border of the United States makes it even more easier to transport it across the country, across the border. And thanks to NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, tariffs are significantly lowered to 0 compared to making the product in Europe or Asia. Thirdly, the labor cost in Mexico is significantly lower than that in the United States. All of these make the maquiladoras a pretty attractive place for certain kind of operations. Of course, there are some disadvantages which we'll discuss in a different chapter. But for now, companies try to locate in different countries, different regions to reduce direct and indirect costs. People locate in European Union and in Mercosur, where we have the South American, Latin American countries, and so on. The second reason is to improve the supply chain, locating facilities closer to unique resources. Why do we see so many athletic shoe manufacturers in China and other parts of Asia? Why do we see wine manufacturers in France, Italy, and today in the southern hemisphere, in Australia, Chile, Argentina, South Africa, and so on? Why do we see many IT companies in the Silicon Valley? And I can go on and on. They are close to unique resources that are important for their particular business. Why do majority of the mining companies are in Australia, Brazil? Again, the reason is to improve the supply chain, locating facilities closer to unique resources. Provide better goods and services. There are certain companies, certain suppliers who are more reliable for on-time deliveries, who can provide improved customer service. That may be the other reason for you to locate your facility or your operations in different parts of the world. Understanding markets. Whenever companies locate their facilities, their operations in different countries, they understand the local market better. Why would companies be interested in locating their facilities in countries like India, Indonesia, so on? There may be a lot of tangible benefits like reducing cost, but also these are huge markets. There are 250 million middle-class consumers in India, which is just a little less than the entire population of the United States. So if you can sell products to this big population, it's a great way to enhance your profits, your revenues. So locating a facility in a country like China, India, Indonesia, Brazil, it helps in understanding local markets and enhancing the opportunity to market to these big populations. And extending product life cycle. If a particular product has reached a maturity stage in the US and Western Europe, you may be able to introduce that product in a developing country and enhance the product life cycle, extend the product life cycle. Another reason to go global. Learn to improve operations, benchmarking. Back in the 70s and 80s, when the Japanese started producing high quality products at low cost, the entire world was taken aback. I took every organization around the world, including General Motors, to learn from companies like Toyota and other Japanese companies. And ultimately they proved that products can be made of good quality at a low cost anywhere in the world if you benchmark properly. Same thing with companies like IKEA in furniture manufacturing. Companies can benchmark with these companies. Attract and retain global talent. many IT companies, information technology companies in India, because of the talent of the engineering graduates in cities like Bangalore, which is the Silicon Valley of India. In addition, when you're locating your facilities or operations around the world, this is a big checklist that you can use. Certainly not an exhaustive checklist, but a good list of things that you may want to consider. Literacy rate, work ethic, size of the population, political stability, language, on and on. Look at the call centers around the world. When you make a call, if you are in the United States, where does it go typically? If it is not in the United States, it can go to India, it can go to Philippines, sometimes to Ireland, because these are the countries where English is prevalent. In spite of the differences in accent, there is a big population of people in these countries who can speak the language. Again, when we look at facility location, we will get to this in more detail. What are some of the specific aspects that manufacturing companies look at, retail companies look at, warehouses, locating warehouses, or just getting suppliers? For each one of these, there are certain set of factors that you would look at. We will get to that in a little more detail later. This is a nice slide from the book where it looks at two dimensions, two continuums. They are not dichotomous, low and high, low and high. It's a continuum. On the x-axis, you see the local responsiveness considerations for an organization to go global. That is how much you want to differentiate. On the y-axis, you see cost considerations. How important it is for you to have low cost versus cost is not a factor. So cost reduction considerations are high on the top, cost reduction considerations low at the bottom. And the book has given examples of companies which are in these four different quadrants. Again, I would not look at it as a dichotomous axis. It is a continuum. But if you look at the axis, if you look at the quadrant at the bottom, it says international strategy, where the focus is only importing and exporting and licensing. Some of the examples given are US Steel and Harley Davidson. On the extreme top right, which is transnational strategy, which is working in different countries as though you're a local company, moving materials, people, ideas across national boundaries, learning from places, learning from different countries. Examples include Coca-Cola, Nestle, where they function as local businesses. And you can also see other two strategies. A multi-domestic strategy is where you're a McDonald's, where the idea is franchising. You have a model that works very well in the United States, and based on franchising and joint ventures and subsidiaries, you take that idea and go global without changing a whole lot. That is a multi-domestic strategy. On the other hand, you have global strategy, where you have standardized products like elevators, and you use economies of scale and you go global. So this is a very academic way of looking at things, where you have four different distinct strategies here: international strategy, multi-domestic, global, and then you have the transnational strategy. Like I said again, we will discuss globalization and operations strategy in more detail in many modules of this course. Thank you.